She rejected my proposal, then posted a photo of the ring on Instagram. I know my worth and this ain't it. The post went viral. I commented, neither are you. The ring is fake. Then I posted the receipt for the $6 cubic zirconia. The internet turned on her so fast she had to delete her entire account. Let me just start by saying I'm not a complicated guy. I'm Jasper and I like my job as a software engineer at a tech startup in Austin. I like barbecue on Sundays watching Cowboys games, and I believe that a person's character is the most valuable thing they own. For the last 2 years I was dating a woman named Brittany who I thought believed in the same things. I now know that the only thing Brittany believes in is the exchange rate of love for luxury goods. And I apparently was failing to meet the market price. We had a good life, or so I thought. We lived together in a nice loft downtown. My name was on the lease. I paid the bills, covered groceries from Whole Foods, and we were talking about the future. The problem was our definitions of the future were wildly different. My future involved a partnership, building something together, maybe a house in Cedar Park with a yard and a golden retriever someday. Her future involved a specific filter on Instagram, a closet full of Coach bags, and a man who acted as a combination of a photographer and an ATM. Her obsession with status was like a low-grade fever that had been getting worse over the past 6 months. It was all about appearances. She would talk endlessly about her friends who were getting engaged, but she never talked about their relationships. She only talked about the rings. Did you see the rock Brandon got for Tiffany? She'd say, scrolling through her phone while we ate takeout from Franklin Barbecue. It must be at least 3 carats. It was never about how happy they seemed together. It was always about the carat count. I knew the question was coming. She was dropping hints with the subtlety of a freight train. She would leave Tiffany & Company websites open on my MacBook. She would tag me in posts from luxury jewelers on Rodeo Drive. I loved her and I genuinely wanted to marry her, but this obsession with the ring was a massive red flag. It felt like she was more excited about the accessory than the commitment. So, I decided to conduct a little test, a character test. I wanted to know once and for all if she was in love with me or if she was in love with the idea of what I could provide for her. The plan was simple. I bought 2 rings. The first ring was the real one. I spent weeks researching it. I went to a reputable family-owned jeweler in downtown Austin and picked out a beautiful classic 2-carat diamond ring. It was elegant, timeless, and cost more than my Tesla Model 3. It was the ring I wanted to give to the woman I would spend my life with. I kept it hidden in the back of my safe. The second ring was the test. I went on Amazon and bought a $6 cubic zirconia ring. It was flashy, gaudy, and looked impressive from a distance. But up close, it had all the quality and charm of a prize from a Chuck E. Cheese machine. The night of the proposal came last Saturday. I took her to Zilker Botanical Garden at sunset, a place where we had one of our first dates. The autumn air in Austin was perfect, crisp but warm, with that golden hour light filtering through the oak trees. I got down on one knee by the rose garden. I gave her a heartfelt speech about our life together and our future. Her eyes were shining. Her iPhone was out, subtly recording the moment for her future social media post. Then I opened the box. I watched her face as she saw the $6 ring. The happy, expectant smile froze. It didn't just fade, it curdled. A look of pure, unadulterated disgust washed over her features like she just tasted spoiled milk from H-E-B. She looked from the ring to me and then back to the ring as if I had just presented her with a dead armadillo. "What is that?" she said, her voice flat and cold as a Bluebell freezer. "It's an engagement ring," I said, still on one knee playing my part. "Brittany, will you marry me?" She let out a short, sharp, ugly laugh. "Are you joking?" she said loud enough for a nearby couple walking their golden retriever to turn and stare. "No, absolutely not." She stood up and looked down at me with a look of such profound contempt. It was like she had never even known me. "I can't believe you would embarrass me like this," she hissed, her voice carrying across the peaceful garden. I slowly stood up, my heart not broken but strangely calm. The test results were in and they were conclusive. "Embarrass you?" I asked quietly. "Yes, embarrass me," she said. "My friends get diamonds from Cartier. My friends get rings from Neiman Marcus. You bring me this piece of junk. What am I supposed to do with this? Post this online? Everyone would laugh at me. My sorority sisters would think I'm dating some loser who shops at Walmart." I just looked at her. "So the answer is no because of the ring?" "The answer is no because I know my worth," she said, puffing out her chest like a peacock at the Austin Zoo. "And this ain't it." She turned on her heel and stormed off toward the parking lot, her designer heels clicking angrily on the stone pathway. I watched her climb into her leased BMW and speed away, leaving me alone in the garden with a couple of confused tourists and some very judgmental peacocks. I looked down at the cheap sparkly ring in the box. $6. It was the best $6 I had ever spent. It had just saved me from a lifetime of misery and what would have inevitably been a very expensive divorce. I closed the box, put it in my pocket, and walked back to my truck. The relationship was over, but I knew the story was just beginning. As I drove home through downtown Austin, passing the state capitol building lit up in the evening light, I had no idea that in 48 hours, the entire internet would know our story. I went home that night and packed a bag. I knew our loft would become a war zone, and I had no interest in being there for the initial fallout. I crashed on my buddy Cole's couch in Round Rock. As expected, my phone started blowing up with texts from Brittany, a mix of angry tirades and demands that I come home and fix this mess. I ignored them all. There was nothing to fix. The next morning, the real show began. Just as I had predicted, Brittany took her story online. But she did something I hadn't anticipated. During her dramatic storm off from Zilker, she must have circled back and snatched the ring box from my truck when I wasn't looking, or maybe I dropped it in the shock of it all. Either way, she had the ring. She posted a picture on her Instagram. It was a beautifully staged, professional quality photo of her hand, nails perfectly manicured at some expensive salon in Westlake, holding the $6 cubic zirconia ring between her thumb and forefinger. The ring was angled just so, catching the light to give it maximum cheap sparkle against the backdrop of our loft's exposed brick walls. But it was the caption that was the true work of art. She wrote, "Some things are just not meant to be. Broken heart. Last night I was asked a question, but I had to listen to my heart and respect myself. I know my worth, and this ain't it. To all my strong women out there, never settle for less than you deserve. Know your worth. Hashtag self-love, hashtag worth it, hashtag Texas girl, hashtag know your value, you deserve better. Thank you." Next, Crown Sparkles. It was a masterpiece of victimhood and empowerment theater, complete with every trendy hashtag known to Instagram. And the internet ate it up like free queso at Torchy's Tacos. The post exploded. Within hours, it had thousands of likes. It was being shared by lifestyle bloggers and wannabe influencers across Texas and beyond. The comment section was a tidal wave of support for her and vitriol for me. I was anonymous, of course, but I was being called every name in the book. Cheap, pathetic, loser, broke boy from East Austin. Women were praising her for her strength, for knowing her value. Men were commenting things like, "You dodged a bullet, queen," and "He wasn't worthy of a Texas goddess like you." She was a hero, a martyr for the cause of expensive jewelry everywhere. She was eating it up like barbacoa at a Sunday brunch. She was replying to comments, thanking people for their support, and adding more details to her fictional story. She claimed I had been financially manipulating her for months, and that this insulting ring was the final straw. She was building an entire narrative around herself as the brave Austin woman who had stood up to a cheap, unworthy man. I watched it all unfold from Cole's apartment, a strange sense of calm detachment washing over me like the evening breeze off Lady Bird Lake. Every comment, every share, every word of praise she received was just more rope. She was building her own gallows, and she was so proud of the craftsmanship. My friends were calling me, furious on my behalf. "Dude, are you seeing this?" Cole said, bursting into his own living room where I was calmly eating breakfast tacos from Veracruz. "She's making you look like some deadbeat who proposed with a ring pop. You have to say something." My other buddy Derek was texting nonstop. "The whole internet thinks you're broke. This is insane. Fight back." "Patience," I told them, taking another bite of my migas. "Let her have her moment. Let her get as much attention as possible. The higher she climbs, the harder she's going to fall." For 2 full days I let her ride the wave. I let her become an internet sensation, the patron saint of materialistic women everywhere. Her post was even written up on a few minor celebrity gossip blogs. "Austin influencer shows women how to know their worth," read one headline. "Texas woman's viral rejection inspires thousands," read another. She was on top of the world, doing Instagram live sessions from our loft, which was still technically my place, giving advice to women about not settling and demanding your worth. She had gained 15,000 followers overnight. Brands were sliding into her DMs. She was already planning her influencer empire. Meanwhile, I was methodically preparing my counterattack from Cole's couch. I wasn't going to create a big dramatic post of my own. Not yet. I chose a more surgical approach. I was going to let her climb as high as possible, get as much attention as possible before I pulled the rug out from under her designer boots. On the third day, when the post had reached its peak of viral fame, over 50,000 likes and 8,000 comments. I decided it was time to make my first move. I didn't create a response video or write a lengthy caption. Instead, I went with something simple, something that would plant just the right seed of doubt. I scrolled through the thousands of comments on her viral Instagram post, reading message after message of support, women sharing their own stories of cheap men and knowing their worth. The comments were a feeding frenzy of materialism disguised as empowerment. Then I found the perfect spot, right at the top of the comments where everyone would see it. I logged into my own Instagram account, the one with my real name and my real picture, and I typed 6 simple words. My comment was surgical in its precision. Neither are you. The ring is fake. Then I turned off my phone and went to grab some Franklin barbecue with Cole. You sure about this, man? He asked as we stood in line. Once you start this war, there's no going back. I looked at him and smiled. Cole, she started this war the moment she chose a price tag over a person. I'm just going to finish it. The first domino had been pushed. In a few hours, I would turn my phone back on and watch Brittany's perfectly constructed world of lies begin to crumble, one comment at a time. Turning my phone back on 3 hours later was like opening the door to a Category 5 hurricane hitting the Gulf Coast. The chaos was immediate and beautiful. My single comment had acted like a grenade thrown into the middle of Brittany's pity party. My Instagram was flooded with notifications, thousands of them. Friend requests, DMs, and hundreds of replies to my comment. The internet, which had been so united in its support of Brittany, was now in a state of civil war. Half the people thought I was just a bitter, lying ex trying to save face. Sour grapes, dude. She rejected you. Get over it. Prove it's fake or you're just pathetic. This guy can't handle being dumped by a queen. But the other half were intrigued. My comment had planted a seed of doubt, and people started examining the picture more closely. You know, that setting does look kind of cheap. The facets on that stone don't look right for a diamond. Wait, he commented from his real account. He wouldn't do that if he was lying, would he? I'm a jeweler in Houston, and that doesn't look like a real diamond to me. Brittany's response was immediate and frantic. She replied to my comment within minutes. He's a liar. He's just embarrassed that I rejected his broke ass. Don't listen to him. #pathetic #lying ex. She then started furiously deleting any comments that questioned her story, but it was like trying to stop a flood with a paper towel. For every doubt she deleted, 3 more popped up. The narrative was no longer under her control. She had lost the room. This was the moment I'd been waiting for. The audience was primed. The stage was set. It was time for the main event. I went to my own Instagram page. I had never been a big poster. My profile was mostly just a few pictures of fishing trips to Lake Travis, barbecue adventures around Austin, and my golden retriever Buster. But my next post was going to be the most important one of my life. I created a new post, a multi-image carousel that would change everything. The first slide was simple but devastating. A high-resolution, unedited screenshot of my Amazon order history. It clearly showed the item, Brilliance Fine Jewelry 2-carat round cubic zirconia sterling silver engagement ring. It showed the date of purchase, 3 days before the proposal, and it showed the price, which I had circled in bright red, $6.49. The second slide was a short video. I filmed it sitting at Cole's kitchen table, with the Austin skyline visible through the window behind me. I kept my voice calm and friendly, like I was just having a conversation with a neighbor over the fence. Hi everyone, I said. My name is Jasper. You may have seen a post recently from my now ex-girlfriend Brittany. I just wanted to clear a few things up. Then I reached off screen and placed something on the table that made the camera's autofocus go crazy trying to capture all the light it was reflecting. The real engagement ring. The 2-carat diamond I had actually bought. The camera zoomed in on the ring, and even through my iPhone the difference was staggering. This ring sparkled under Cole's kitchen lights with a fire that the cheap cubic zirconia could never hope to imitate. It was like comparing a bonfire to a birthday candle. I believe a proposal should be a test of character, not a test of character, not a financial transaction, I said to the camera, my voice steady and calm. I wanted to be with a woman who would say yes to me, not to a price tag. So I conducted an experiment. I picked up the real ring and held it toward the camera. The ring Brittany posted was a $6 prop, a test. This, I said, letting the diamond catch the light, was the real ring. This was for the woman I thought she was, the woman who would love me for who I am, not what I could buy her. I set the ring down and looked directly into the camera. She didn't just fail the test. She failed it in the most spectacular way possible. She didn't just reject me, She tried to use her rejection to build a personal brand based on materialism and greed. She wanted to become an influencer off the back of what she thought was my failure. The third and final slide was a picture of the receipt from the jeweler in downtown Austin. I had blacked out the price. I felt that was a private matter, but the jeweler's name, Austin Diamond Gallery, the date, and the detailed description of the ring were all clearly visible. I wrote a simple caption for the post. The truth is always more valuable than a diamond. I wish Brittany the best in finding someone who meets her financial standards. As for this ring, it's going back to Austin Diamond Gallery. My search for a woman with real worth continues. #truth, #character, #Austin, #real love. I hit post, and then sat back in Cole's recliner with a Shiner Bock, watching the internet do what the internet does best, completely lose its mind. The reaction was instantaneous and seismic. My post went viral on a scale I could never have imagined. It was being shared everywhere: Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, TikTok. It jumped from Austin to Houston to Dallas to every major city in Texas, then spread nationwide. It was picked up by the same gossip blogs that had celebrated her just days before, but this time the headlines were very different. Austin influencer humiliated after fiancé reveals cheap engagement ring was character test. Woman who knew her worth fails spectacularly when faced with fake ring. Texas man's brutal takedown of gold digger ex goes viral. The internet turned on her with a ferocity that was both terrifying and, I have to admit, deeply satisfying. The comments on her original post became a digital stampede of ridicule. People were posting my Amazon receipt in her comments section. They were posting screenshots of my real ring next to her fake one. The hashtag cubic zirconia queen started trending nationwide. She was no longer a hero. She was a meme, a cautionary tale about greed and shallow values, trending right alongside hashtag Texas football and hashtag barbecue. It has been 4 months since the Great Ringgate, as my friends have dubbed it. My life has returned to a state of blessed, wonderful quiet. I'm back in my loft, Buster is happy, and I've been promoted to senior developer at the startup. Brittany's life, on the other hand, has not been so peaceful. The 24 hours after I posted my side of the story were a complete nightmare for her. The online mockery was relentless and creative. People were making TikToks with the audio from my video, creating memes comparing her to famous gold diggers throughout history, and even local Austin comedians were doing bits about her at the Spider House Ballroom. She couldn't post anything without being flooded with comments about the $6 ring. Her follower count, which had swelled to over 60,000 during her brief moment of viral fame, began to plummet faster than the temperature during a Texas blue norther. She was losing thousands of followers by the hour. She tried to fight back. She posted a tearful video on her Instagram story, claiming I was a manipulative sociopath who had emotionally abused her by setting her up. But it was too late. The evidence was too strong. The receipts, literal receipts, were undeniable. Her video was met with a fresh wave of ridicule and even harsher memes. By the end of the week, she couldn't take it anymore. She deleted her entire Instagram account, her entire online identity, the thing she had valued more than our relationship, more than love, more than character. Poof. Wiped from the internet like she'd never existed. The real-world consequences were just as severe. She had to move out of our loft. My lawyer sent her a formal notice to vacate. Her parents drove down from Dallas to help her move, and I heard from a mutual friend that they were deeply ashamed, not just of the public humiliation but of the character their daughter had revealed to the world. Her friend group also imploded. Many of them were aspiring influencers themselves, and they couldn't afford to be associated with her toxic brand. They quietly unfriended her both online and in real life. She was left with nothing but the consequences of her own shallow values. As for me, I did exactly what I said I would do. I returned the real diamond ring to Austin Diamond Gallery. The jeweler, an older gentleman named Mr. Rodriguez, was very understanding. "Son," he told me, "in 40 years of selling rings, I've learned that the right woman will say yes to a twist tie if she truly loves you." Getting that money back in my account felt like closing a chapter. My story seemed to resonate with people nationwide. I received thousands of messages from men and women sharing their own stories of materialistic partners and thanking me for standing up for the idea that love should be about more than money. I'm dating again now, women who reached out after seeing my post, women who were attracted to my values rather than my bank account. I'm taking my time, but for the first time in years, I'm optimistic about finding real love. Brittany said she knew her worth, but she was wrong. She only knew her price. And when it came down to it, her price was $6.49.